In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to build muscle and still be athletic. You've been sold the lie that you either have to be a bodybuilder or you have to be functional, and it's not true. By the end of this video, you're gonna know the one thing that actually builds muscle, the isometric trick that either is gonna build serious size or cost you nothing, depending on how you do it, and how to get bigger while staying explosive instead of trading one for the other. My name is Nolan Ulm. I'm a pro football player for the Toronto Argonauts. I was a D1 wide receiver and two-time team captain at Eastern Washington University, and I built Make It Happen coaching, where we've helped 100 high-performing men get athletically shredded and big enough to turn heads, where you look great and you're moving like a beast as well. I'm going to show you exactly why you've been sold this lie and get into all this. So let's get into this, guys. I got a bunch of graphics for you here. We can see we got Cyrus, one of the guys that's been through our program. He got absolutely diced. He's a boxer and also a high ticket sales closer. So he's been doing that, and he was able to get it all done doing this exact same thing that I'm going to show you guys right now. Okay. So this is the biggest thing I want to show you guys. The biggest thing that we need to talk about when we're first of all talking about building muscle is mechanical tension. So as you guys can see here, like, yes, we want to be athletic, but we can't just do only those movements. We need to build muscle. But how do we do that? How do we do that? It's literally mechanical tension. That's the biggest thing that we're going to focus on when it comes to hypertrophy, they call it, when you're building muscle. They were showing all these different ways you could do it, right? Like, they said muscle damage, they said metabolic stress, but this is all broken down. This is something that's been accepted. This was a 2023 review that was done, that they pulled research from all these different analysis that they did, and they landed on the clear answer. It's not muscle damage. It's not metabolic stress, as you guys can see here. That was the old model. What the new thing is mechanical tension, and damage, and muscle damage and metabolic stress were just downstream effects of this mechanical tension. What does this mean? It's literally just means like you're putting weight against your muscles. That's the biggest thing. The tension is everything. Everything else that happens is the downstream effects of mechanical tension. This is the biggest thing that you need to focus on. And once you know this is so important. Let's start with the first thing, though, of like why damage, the muscle damage, doesn't build muscle, and why marathoners would be huge. I love this that we put together here. If tearing a muscle built it up and it regrew, right? Like everybody says that. Marathon runners would be the new Ronnie Coleman's, because they're destroying their legs every single week, every single training session. They're running dozens of kilometers of miles. But that's the whole argument right there with one metaphor, right? The soreness that you feel is not the muscle growing. It's not the muscle growing. It's the muscle repairing, and those are two different jobs. Soreness is not the thing that you're going to use as your scoreboard. The only scoreboard is whether your weight went up or the reps with the same amount of weight went up. That means that we're building muscle. Then the pump, it feels great. So it feels like it's working, it's doing something. But when researchers actually cranked up this metabolite buildup, it's called, and you can do that with BFR, blood flow restriction, where they just put a cuff on your arms, your legs. What they found is that hypertrophy actually got worse, not better. And longer rest between sets, 3 minutes instead of 1, builds more muscle, they found, than short rest, even though that short rest is giving you a better pump. Once again, it comes back to mechanical tension, and does your weight go up, or does the reps with the same amount of weight go up? That means that muscle is being built. So I hope that makes sense, what I'm breaking down for you guys. So let's talk about what tension actually is. It's not how heavy the bar is. It's the force felt by each one of your muscle fibers individually. A fiber is only going to grow if two things happen at once. First, it has to get recruited. And the second one is that it has to be under high tension. So your body's going to recruit muscle fibers in a distinct order. There's going to be low threshold first, and then you're going to get, as you can see here, into high threshold last. And there's no exceptions to this rule. Heavy loads are going to call in those high threshold fibers right away, where lighter loads only are going to reach them once your fatigue is going to be built up at the very end of a set. And that's why both heavy and light sets, reps build muscle. there was another meta-analysis done, and this found that hypertrophy is basically the same across, a wide range of loads. As long as you can just take the set close to failure, that's going to be the biggest thing, right? If we show this right here, this is going to be the biggest thing that's going to matter, right? Take the set close to failure. So the famous where they say 6 to 12 reps range is, this magic biological number. It's not, right? It just delivers enough tension while letting you get enough of that total work done and in a reasonable amount of time, because nobody really wants to be doing 20 reps. I mean, at least I don't. But that's like, it is an efficient range, 6 to 12 reps. So definitely, it's like I said, it's not like this magic number. It's just you hit those principles, the underlying principles. And whenever you think about your fitness, your nutrition, your training, like think about the underlying laws and principles. That's how we work at Make It Happen Coaching. Is you see all this stuff about types of food to eat, blah blah blah, but like types of ways to training, all that matters is that we hit these underlying laws. They're going to get us the results. You have to keep the main thing the main thing. It's just like the Stephen Covey metaphor, where if we had two different buckets, and we had big rocks, we had small rocks, and we had sand. If we tried putting the sand in first and then the small rocks and then the big rocks, you wouldn't be able to fit everything. But if you put the big rocks first, then the small pebbles to fit around it, and then you poured the sand and it filled into the cracks, it would fit perfectly. And so it's the same thing. We have to focus on the big rocks. And that's what I'm teaching in all of these YouTube videos. And what I teach all my clients in the program is I want to teach you these principles so you can take them with you for the rest of your life. So once again, back to this, it's about getting close to failure, and it's about that mechanical tension. We need to recruit the fibers, and we do that by getting close to failure. That's the growth stimulus. It doesn't matter the rep range. That's the biggest thing. Okay, now let's get into a little bit of isometrics here as we get into this. So, and this is the part that almost nobody gets right. An isometric hold can either be, a free preparation, or it can be a terrible, brutal working set. The only difference that we talk about is the rep range that you're going to hold it in. So if you hold the muscle in a lengthened stretch position under a load, like a deep split squat hold, a stretched out dumbbell fly hold, I'm trying to think of other ones, like if we were to do even like a really intense parallel push-up hold, you're going to generate a crazy amount of tension on the fiber, and this will build muscle. This will really strengthen those joints, those ligaments. What it's doing is it's strengthening that connective tissue, but it also can cause significant damage, which means muscle damage, right, from mechanical tension, which means it's going to cost some real recovery time. So that's not really a warm-up, right? We would do that as a working set. But isometrics as well, you're not going to be as sore from them. Like you could go really hard and you're not going to be. Now, if you had the same idea in like a mid-range or a shorter position, like a wall sit, or even like we'd call it like a position 2 lunge, where we're like kind of middle, or even like a plank or a pin press, right? Where we're not all the way in that stretch position. We're gonna raise the recruitment and we're gonna prep that joint without a bunch of muscle damage cost. And so you can do that often. You can do that in your warm-ups. Now, I will say you can still do your long lengthened holds. It really is just duration and intensity of it. But this is just giving you an idea of these two different isometrics that you can put into your workouts, right? All right, let's talk about these tension profiles and then a quick exercise selection rule that is, once again, like an underlying principle that we can follow. So the deep compounds, when I say compounds, I'm talking about squats, I'm talking about presses. Anything that is the hardest at the bottom, where it loads the muscle in the stretch, that's passive tension. So machines and mid-range moves, like a curl, like a leg extension, those are the hardest in the middle. That's going to hit the belly of the muscle. That is active tension. So we want to make sure that we have both. But there's two completely different tension profiles. And if you could only pick one, you guessed it, obviously it's your compound lifts. They're going to get most bang for your buck. Now here's the athletic problem, and this is the real mechanism that most people just ignore. But when muscle grows, the fibers are going to pack in at a steeper angle. So this is going to give you more force, but it's also going to make your muscle shorter. And most importantly, it's going to shorten over a shorter distance for a given speed. So this is why someone like Chris Bumstead or Larry Wheels can get super swole. If you guys don't know, they're just big bodybuilders, or even Arnold. But they're still going to get slow. And this is because it's not just body weight. Like, this is real, because the muscle size is only one of 7 different things that we're going to cover here that drive explosive strength. And most people only focus on hypertrophy, but hypertrophy is very important, right? But the rest, right? When we talk about coordination, tendon stiffness, rate of force development, which is huge, all of these are trainable things. And they're the exact thing that plyometrics and isometrics train. And that's what we use in our program with Make It Happen Coaching. Now, the plyometrics, right? It's our dynamic moving, jumping, sprinting, running. Our isometrics, like I was just talking about, it's the holding phase. I'm just giving you a little bit of background. I know a lot of you guys already know what this is. But hypertrophy is the engine, but plows and isometrics, if we were to go like a car metaphor, they're going to keep the transmission tight. So build only the engine, and you're only going to get a big motor, and it's just going to be slower, right? You're not going to be able to shift into these different gears. And this is why it's so important to have these different things that we're training. And so the big thing that we talk about is, when we want to be athletically shredded, is we don't want to just be big. We want to be big and fast, or muscular and fast, as a better way of putting it. Because I know some of you guys don't want to get super big, but it's going to take far less work to maintain a quality than to build it. When I talk about a quality, it's speed, it's strength, it's what all the stuff that we're talking about right now. There was a study that was done back in 2011, and young men held on to muscle that they built on as little as a third of their training volume. So think about that. That's like, we don't even need to do that much. And this is for 8 months they held on to it. So as long as they kept the weight heavy on the bar, they maintained it for 8 months. So maintenance is super cheap, but building these qualities can be very expensive and very time consuming, energy consuming. So stop trying to build it all at once. Run a hypertrophy phase where muscle is the priority, and you hold that explosiveness with a tiny dose, 6 to 10 pogo jumps twice a week, just in your warm up. And then you can flip it. You can push the power. We can do a little more explosive lifting. Drop the lifting drop the lifting to like a maintenance dose. And then this is the detail that almost everybody gets backwards, but when you cut the volume to hold muscle, still keep the load heavy. So even though the volume is down, the intensity is going to stay high. And so what we need is that load retention, the load being the retention signal. So that is huge, because volume's going to signal the growth, but the load is going to signal the maintenance, if that makes sense. That's going to be the biggest thing. Another thing I wanted to show you guys here too, once with that bigger muscle, right? Like, we're going to have a steeper angle with these muscles. And the biggest thing is, if we don't train the plyometrics, the isometric, work those in, you're going to lose it. You're going to get big and slow. And so here's an idea of what it would look like. This is exactly what our sessions look like just to give you an idea. Like, that would get Cyrus athletically shredded. We're going to do isometrics. We're going to express those into plyometrics. That's how you're going to start your lift. Mid-range, like we talked about. We're not necessarily going to do these crazy long ones. That'll be more when we get into the actual workout. But then after that, once we're warm, plyometrics, isometric, we've already moved fast. Okay, we don't want our body to move fast anymore. We want to lift weight. We want to build muscle. We're going to get into our compound lifts. We're going to get a good amount of sets in here, good amount of volume. This is going to hit a bunch of different muscle groups at once. It's going to get good hypertrophy. And then we're going to do our accessories, right? Like everything that you would think of, just a classic, bodybuilding type split at the end. We're going to have great hypertrophy. We're also going to do stuff that might be a little different, some athletic movements, build the core in different ranges. And then we'll do long length work, sometimes as a finisher, which is the isometrics that we're really going to build and create capacity with at the end of a workout, and durability. So those are the biggest things, right? These are the myths that we killed today, guys, as we talked about, right? Like, the soreness does not mean it worked. We don't need to chase the pump. Short rest is for growth hormone. Not true, right? It's only just like that's at that point you're building capacity, which is like conditioning, another way of putting it. And then 6 to 12 is the hypertrophy range. Remember, it doesn't matter. It's just near failure, but that's just a really easy rep range to do. lifting makes you slow. It doesn't, only if you drop the explosive work. So we need to keep it at a maintenance dose. Or if you just never done it, we need to start to implement it. And then we can do a whole phase once we've implemented it. And really, once we build it, and then we'll maintain it from there. But once you maintain it for the rest of your life, if you sprint one time a week, top end speed, you keep that top end speed stimulus for the rest of your life. And then plyos kill your gains. They do not at all. They're so short intensity. If anything, it gets your nervous system firing to be able to go and attack those compound lifts. Cardio is what can kill your gains. So, but low volume plyometrics, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. So those are the biggest things I want to talk to you guys about today. 3 takeaways, really when it comes down to it is 1, stop scoring your workouts by the soreness or the pump. Remember, it's about what matters. Those big rocks you're going to put in the container. The big rock is my weight going up week to week, or is the amount of reps I'm doing with the given weight going up week to week? 2, do those isometrics to start your lifts. They're so important. Really do that. 3, build one quality at a time. That's what the research shows. Hold the others on a maintenance dose, though. So if anything, it's like, I know you're already focusing on one quality. Maybe you're focusing on too many. So focus on one and make the others a maintenance. You're going to get the most out of it that way. If you are looking to get athletically shredded, if you want to get in the best shape of your life, doing it with these methods, with these high-level strategies, and you are a 6-figure earner, you're someone who's crushing it in your business, in your life, making a ton of money, you're doing well with your family, but you want to take your health to the next level, then this is for you. So go DM me at Instagram Shred, or just you can book them for a call down below. What we do is not for everybody, and it is a little bit counter intuitive to what other people say, but this is why we get some of the best results that you see out there. We're pushing the cutting edge on getting people in the best health and performance of their life so that you can maximize your income and your impact. I will see you guys in the next video. Make it happen. Out.